What if I told you there was a place in time in which black men and black women were a driving force in their community? This sounds like an excellent synopsis for a great movie, or maybe the abstract of a book that caught your eye. But 20 years ago, this was a reality for a great number of blacks bent on creating a utopia of change, making lemons out of lemonade, one might say. Telling you the existence of this black renaissance can be shocking, but it's sure to be eye-opening as well. I say this because in a late-night conversation with my grandmother, I remember asking her, why can't blacks have community in villages like they do in Africa? This is when she told me about quite a few attempts that happened after slavery was abolished. The one that stuck out the most was a place called Black Wall Street. When I started to look up Black Wall Street, there was tons of historical records in existence. Information was just a couple taps away from a library database. The Black Wall Street is still considered a special place in American history. The street served as a platform that would pave the way for black members of that community to thrive in their economy, education, health, information, entertainment, and religion. This speech will entail a short history of the Black Wall Street community, what was the cause of its rise and fall. I will also demonstrate the impact of the success on the black and white communities. Finally, I will focus on the cause of the fall and its widespread effect to both communities. This community was modern. This black community was full of sophistication. It was unapologetically black. The fall of Black Wall Street saw the death of more than 300 African Americans, and a massive number of people were left homeless after its destruction. Greenwood was the given name for Black Wall Street, or the city in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it started as an intentional community forced into segregation. Tulsa grew because of its oil discovery, and most of the black Americans lived in Greenwood parts of the city. They had stores, hotels, schools, and restaurants. The oil discovery gave the blacks the opportunity of a lifetime, and they established their businesses in these areas. These businesses improved the lives of African Americans. They improved the living standards of African Americans. Black Americans lived in peace as they watched their property and their families thrive. Segregation then caused the citizens to pool their assets together and patronize each other, creating a strong economic balance. The blacks were never allowed to shop in the white communities, and all the money that they earned was spent in Black Wall Street, and this ensured prosperity among the whole community. Greenwood thrived so well, it became a target for jealousy and destruction. The Greenwood community were privileged with luxuries, and their white counterparts did not have these things. They had a well-defined and remarkable education system. The whites envied their success and planned to destroy this community. The destruction of Wall Street was quick and brutal. The downfall and riot were triggered by a newspaper report that claimed that a black man, a young elevator operator, tried to rape a young white woman. And some of the white newspaper and the community demanded that the youth should be hanged. The blacks heard the news. They rushed to the police stations to stop the lynching, but they were confronted by hundreds of whites. Within hours, thousands of whites stormed the black community. They looted, burned, and killed men and women of Black Wall Street. The police joined the riot, but when the arrests were made, no whites were arrested, only blacks were. This was the largest massacre in history in a black community. The Wall Street businesses were burnt down, and the number of blacks who were killed slowly rose from 25 up to 300. 20 whites were killed in the riots. The government refused to rebuild the black homes and compensate the blacks. The white areas that were affected, the white community, were compensated. The small town was left attacked and brought down through fire. There were racially segregated riots days after to ensure the destruction of Black Wall Street. Even though the people of Black Wall Street were racially segregated, And despite all the challenges and negativity, a sense of union and faith grew in this community and the neighborhood where they were living in fear. And this is when they wrote their success stories. Black Wall Street was a nickname that summarized the progression and influence of this community. By segregating the blacks of the community, found that learning and leaning on one another could bring progress and enrich the lives of their families and futures. The horrifying destruction of such an influential community left a hole in history, and in itself froze the future that could have been created for the blacks of today. Spreading this story now unfreezes that space and time. And sharing this story with you today, I hope it breathes life into a movement that was gone too soon.